The Forged in the Barrens expansion arrives today, and with it, the first ever opportunity to collect and play with diamond cards. A diamond copy of Blademaster Samuro will be available immediately to anyone who purchases the Reward Track Tavern Pass, and a diamond Bru'kan will be available to anyone who collects all 25 of the initial Forged in the Barrens legendary cards. Whether you're eager to play with the new diamond versions of these Horde legendaries, or you're just looking for a fun way to experiment with them right away, we've got 10 experimental decks you can try out for absurd value from these guys. Oh, and there's a bonus Mankrik deck at the end, named Mankrik's Secret Trauma. If you'd like to get ridiculous value from the legendary, everyone will get for free. There are time codes and deck codes for each deck in the description below if you'd like to jump to one you're interested in or copy into Hearthstone right away. If there's an issue with the deck codes, as these were made with Deck Tracker before the expansion hit, we'll update them shortly after release. But enough with the chit chat, let's get into the decks. The first deck we're looking at is one to get maximum value from Bru'kan. Do note that each of these decks are meant to get exceptional value from the centerpiece cards or archetype. They aren't built to optimize win rate. For example, Bru'kan's Elemental Burst is focused largely around pulling off a 30 or 31 damage combo with help from Bru'kan. In case you're wondering, the full combo is to play 2 Imprisoned Phoenix on turn 8 or so, and when they wake up, you drop Bru'kan, 2 Lightning Bolts, and a Serpent Shrine Portal or Dunk Tank for 30 or 31 burst damage. The rest of the deck plays around with new elemental synergies and allows you to piece together enough damage to finish out the game early, or hold on until you have the combo pieces. Tidal Wave is in here to help stall until you reach 10 mana for those of us who really want to do the OTK combo. Wandmaker can provide additional burst or spell damage, and the Elemental package is a good way to fight for the board while allowing us to play with the new synergies. Of course, feel free to tweak these decks however you want to improve win rates or maximize synergies. These decks are all first drafts we'll start to refine with experimentation on stream. Next up is a deck to get absurd value from Blademaster Samuro. When Plague Scientist was announced for the core set, we thought it was unlikely to see much play. But alongside Blademaster Samuro, it may just be busted. Drop Samuro and give him Poisonous with Plague Scientist, and he can rush in to wipe out the opponent's entire board. But why stop there? Rogue are masters of bouncing minions, so Shadow Step, Tenwu of the Red Smoke, and even Shadowhunter Vol'jin can ensure Samuro has plenty of opportunities to keep the opponent's board clear as you draw through the deck like mad with Field Contact and the Stealth package, all while building your own sword to strike down the opponent directly. Of course, Cold Blood and Nitro Boost Poison can help ensure Blademaster is able to deal with boards even if he doesn't get Poisonous. Rogue is looking frighteningly strong at the moment. But Rogues aren't the only ones who can get lots of extra value from Blademaster Samuro. Priest can summon huge copies of him with cards like Idol of Yasharj and Blood of Gahun, or they can copy him with Psyche Split. And if you need healing, Apotheosis on him will heal you for a ton when triggering his Frenzy. The rest of the deck is focused on keeping you alive and getting you the value needed to close out the game. Rally will bring back Reliquary of Souls, Sethic Veilweaver, and Nazmani Bloodweaver all at once, allowing you to go a little crazy on the opponent with any cheap spells you have in hand while generating additional value. And Raise Dead could bring back Samuro if he arrives early. Or you could just get a couple more Veil and Bloodweavers. Xyrella is probably the most questionable inclusion and could be replaced by a second Holy Nova quite easily, but she's in the deck for early experiments and to clear the board or buy time for idols and bloods to hit the board. Have fun summoning the blood of the Blademaster. This next deck is the closest to a current meta deck of any in this video. It's a Zoo Warlock with Tamsin Roam, Cabal Outfitter, and Blademaster Samuro as the only Barrens cards. Blademaster can do extra damage with help from Wicked Whispers or Wriggling Horror, and sometimes you can get extra copies of him back from Raise Dead. But Tamsin Roam getting you an extra free copy of Hand of Gul'dan will be absurdly good. I'm not sure if it being cast while discarded by Nightshade Matron will trigger Tamsin's effect, but if so, the value will be insane. Soulshear was put in as a minion clear in place of Drain Soul since it can provide 2 separate discounts to Flesh Giant, but if you'd prefer the immediate discount, you may want to swap in Drain Souls instead. Both are amazing with Tamsin Roam. Have fun swarming the board and overwhelming opponents. We do have one more Shaman deck, and in this one, Bru'kan and Blademaster Samuro unite. There are quite a few similarities to the first deck we covered, but this one has traded the focus on spell damage for additional minion buffs and direct pressure from your face. Stormstrike will only deal additional damage to minions with help from Bru'kan, but the 3 damage from your hero will still make Inara's Stormcrash or Doomhammer's Gift of Wind Fury frighteningly strong. The elemental package this time includes Gyreworm as one more way to send damage face or benefit from the elemental synergies. Vivid Spores is probably the most questionable inclusion, but we wanted a way to get additional value from Blademaster Samuro, so it did make the cut. However, to streamline things, you could cut them for additional copies of Stormstrike and Doomhammer. Have fun dropping double diamond minions in a single game if you've collected them both. Now, a deck you might not have expected to see running Blademaster Samuro is alongside a Taunt package in Druid. Druid will have lots of ways to get ridiculous value from Blademaster Samuro, especially since Survival of the Fittest will give him so much more attack to work with. However, one thing we realized about Mark of the Spikeshell is that it will allow us to get an extra copy of Blademaster Samuro back in hand while making him even bigger as long as we've given him Taunt. And Ironbark, Mark of the Wild, or even Germination can do just that. But if you're running those cards, why stop there? With Plague Maul the Rotting, we can summon him back and refresh his frenzy when they take down the taunted copy of him. And with all this taunt synergy, let's toss in some additional taunts to flood the board. It may be surprising that we didn't include Razormane Battleguard with this taunt package, and it may be a good idea to swap out something such as, say, Germination for him, but our taunts aren't coming down right away, so we leaned more into the meme side of things. Speaking of the meme side of things, I am curious how many Greybows we'll be able to summon with help from Plague Maul. Whatever the case, there was a real danger that this deck can run out of fuel, so we included Twilight Runners alongside Guardian Animals to help cycle through the deck. Since Teacher's Pet and Thickhide Kodo are both beasts, there's some overlapping synergy available there. Who knew that Blademaster Samuro could learn Taunt? Now, the class that can make Blademaster Samuro absolutely massive is Paladin. And with this deck, Blademaster Samuro might just forsake his Demon Masters to follow the Holy Light. After dropping Samuro and buffing him with Blessing of Authority to deal at least 9 damage to the entire enemy board, it won't be possible to get extra value from him. It would be possible to make a 1/1 copy of him before rushing in with Gift of Luminance, but the Divine Shields will actually make it difficult to trigger his Frenzy effect. And to get value from the second copy, you'll have to buff it up before it can survive damage to trigger his Frenzy. Still, a single massive Samuro will likely be sufficient to overwhelm opponents when paired with the ridiculously strong Holy Libram package, which will be even cheaper to play with help from Cariel Rome. She's actually the reason Gift of Luminance still made the cut. One card that should probably be in here, but we couldn't bear to include due to his annoying voice lines, is Penflinger. If you want to get the full potential from the Libram package alongside an easy frenzy activator for Blademaster Samuro, even if you do give him Divine Shield, you could toss in a couple copies of "Hey loser, wasn't me!" But yeah. Libram of Judgment, Argent Braggart, or even Veteran War Medic are all potential candidates for him to replace. Have fun showing Blademaster Samuro the light. Now we're back to extraordinary meme decks. Death's Claw Blademaster is designed to make use of targeted card draw tools to give Blademaster Samuro and Kurtrus Ashfallen a chance to make a big impact very efficiently. The idea is to use Tusk Piercer to draw the only Death Rattle minions, Claw Machine, from the deck early on. Dropping the Claw Machines will allow you to draw the only other minions, Samuro and Ashfallen, from the deck while giving them +3/+3. If the Claw Machine stuck to the board for a turn, or you play it on turn 10 to draw Kurtrus Ashfallen, he'll get drawn into an outcast position for you to benefit from his outcast effect right away. But while it's cool to get the extra value from these legendaries, that's not likely to be enough to close out the game. So with a little bit of lifesteal and weapons buffs alongside a remarkable amount of card draw, it shouldn't be difficult to piece together Cthulhu, the Shattered, to close out the game. And hey, if you drew Samuro or Ashfallen before playing the second Claw Machine can pull Cthulhu from the deck for you once you shuffle him in. Have fun surprising opponents with surprising synergies. Of course, we couldn't make a list of decks to test out Blademaster Samuro and not include one for Warrior. Blademaster's Overlord uses a remarkable crisscross of synergies to shoot for exceptional value from Blademaster Samuro. First off, Athletic Studies could discover us extra copies of Blademaster Samuro, and Stage Dive has potential to draw and buff Samuro for us. Also, we can buff Samuro with conditioning, and then we can summon an extra copy, or 2, or 3, with help from Overlord Sourfang. Youthful Brewmaster will be the one to help Overlord Sourfang summon multiple copies of him. There's plenty of card draw to cycle through the deck with Outrider's Axe, Cutting Class, and Stonemaul Anchorman, and Talon Fordring can help ensure we've got Overlord Sourfang to get value a bit more consistently. One card we're not 100% sold on yet is Barrens Blacksmith. If Barrens Blacksmith coming back from Overlord Sourfang can buff Samuro before or as his frenzy is being triggered to deal 2 additional damage to the opponent's board, it'll be worth keeping her. If not, it may be better to swap her out for something more immediately impactful, such as Razormane Raider. We'll still have Stonemaul Anchorman as an additional frenzy minion in either case. A card we really did want to include alongside Barrens Blacksmith was Warsong Commander, but quite a few minions already have Rush. Still, she'd be interesting to add if one of the other cards are underperforming. Have fun lording your frenzy army over your opponent. While going through each class to figure out broken ways to use Blademaster Samuro, we realized there wasn't much we could do with him in Mage, other than trigger his frenzy reliably. However, a class we didn't expect to be such a challenge to get value from him was Hunter. Still, we built this Master of Blade and Beast deck in Hunter anyways. Hunter did get Prospector's Caravan as a possible method of buffing Blademaster Samuro in hand, but that card is extremely unlikely to survive long enough to buff anything. However, Overlord Runethak can still buff Samuro. And in a deck looking to get value from buffing minions while using the new cards, we decided to go with a Tavish Stormpike package, running Tame Beast as a likely 4-mana beast generator, alongside Zixor and Augmented Porcupine in the 3-mana slot. Augmented Porcupine may seem to be an odd inclusion, but with Dire Frenzy or a number of the other beast buffs in this deck, it should be able to do a surprising amount of damage. Pack Tactics works quite well with a few of our beasts, but there could also be a case where you tempo Blademaster Samuro without activating his frenzy. When the opponent goes to kill him or trigger his frenzy before developing their board, they could summon a 3/3 version of him with his frenzy effect still intact. That's a rare case outcome, but it's possible. Though the main way this deck is likely to win is by creating a swarm of ever-growing Sunscale Raptors. Once again, Barrens Blacksmith is a bit of a questionable inclusion, but she does synergize well with Augmented Porcupine, as well as being a way to get extra value from Blademaster Samuro. A couple cards that would be nice inclusions in the deck are Animated Broomsticks and Selective Breeder, but I'm not sure what would be best to cut for them unless you want to drop Samuro and or Overlord Runethak. The Hunter version is probably the weakest at getting value from Samuro, but it's still possible to synergize with him. And lastly, we've got a truly disturbing deck creation to get ridiculous value from the legendary everyone's getting for free, Mankrik. Here's the bonus deck, Mankrik's Secret Trauma. While we'll build a few different versions of this deck, the one we're highlighting today uses a secret package and Grand Empress Shek'Zara to really meme things up. The idea of this deck is to use Shadow Step, Tenwu of the Red Smoke, Potion of Illusion, and sometimes even Blackjack Stunner to bounce Mankrik on and off the board so that we can shuffle a ton of copies of his wife into the deck. The ultimate meme finisher will be to have Grand Empress Shek'Zara discover his wife so that we flood the board with Mankriks consumed by hatred, which will all smack the opponent in the face for a total of 18 damage, as Grand Empress Shek'Zara will take up a spot. I don't know that we'll be able to pull that off reliably, but we'll certainly try it. There's plenty of card draw going on in the deck, and if Mankrik dies before you can bounce him enough times, Jandis Barov and Shadow Jeweler Hanar will be great targets to bounce as a way to get additional value in games against control decks. Honestly, this will probably have a terrible win rate, but if you want absurd value from Mankrik, you might try it out. And that's it this time. There are a ton more experimental decks we'll be trying out over the coming weeks, but these were a few to get value from a couple of the special new legendaries. We'll be experimenting with as many of these as we can get through on stream tonight at twitch.tv/SSAlchemist. We're planning to start around 6 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, and we'll be continuing experiments on our normal Saturday and Sunday streams this weekend, so hop in and say hi. Hopefully you found this helpful as a starting point for your own deck experiments. If so, drop a like, and comment down below with your own twist, or even the results you had with the decks. Fairly soon, we'll be sharing gameplay highlights with these and other experimental decks, as well as guides for the gameplay achievements like we did for the last set, so be sure to check back or subscribe so that you can see those when they come out. Have fun, and remember, you're awesome. Thank you for watching, and have an awesome day.
Strength and honor. This is who we are.